Captured by fascists, imprisoned in a camp in Sicily, and surrounded by enemy soldiers. Most prisoners would try to escape, but one young Ethiopian did something impossible. He escaped, then returned and liberated the entire prison. His name was Abdissa Aga, the forgotten lion of World War II.
History is often written by the victors, but the most extraordinary stories are hidden in the shadows of the forgotten. In 1919, in the highlands of Welega, a boy named Abdissa Aga was born into a world steeped in tradition, pride, and rising global tension. At 12, Abdissa faced a tragedy no child should endure. His father, a man of integrity and honor, was executed by local authorities over a dispute that was never fairly judged. Imagine a boy traveling alone across hundreds of miles to the capital, Addis Ababa, to plead for his father's life, and arriving too late. But this injustice did not break him. It forged a resolve of steel. By 1935, the shadow of war darkened Ethiopia. Benito Mussolini, seeking to revive the glory of Rome, launched a brutal invasion. 14-year-old Abdissa, tall, fierce, and determined, lied about his age and joined the elite Black Lion unit, Tikur Anbessa. The Black Lions were not mere soldiers, they were scholars, patriots, men who swore to never surrender. Abdissa fought in mountain battles, witnessing horrors previously unimaginable: poison gas, aerial bombardments, and the death of comrades. Eventually, in the chaos of retreat, he was captured. The Italians saw him not as a boy, but as a trophy of the Ethiopian resistance. But even as a prisoner, Abdissa's spirit remained unbroken. He was a lion in chains, yet ready to roar. Abdissa was transported to a high-security camp on Sicily, far from the hills of Welega. The camp was a cruel mosaic: British pilots, French resistance fighters, Yugoslav partisans, all imprisoned by the fascist regime. Here he met Captain Julio, a Yugoslavian veteran hardened by Nazi-fascist brutality. Language separated them, but shared suffering forged a bond. Together they plotted escape. For weeks, Abdissa meticulously tore and braided prison blankets. On a moonless night in 1940, he and Julio scaled the walls. Freedom, however, was only the beginning. Most prisoners would have fled to the coast, but Abdissa returned. He gathered a small band of men, stormed the camp, took guard uniforms, and walked out the front gates. Over a dozen men were freed, rifles and supplies in hand. Abdissa was no longer a prisoner, he was a guerrilla commander. This was the birth of the legend, a young Ethiopian boy leading men of many nations in the heart of enemy territory. From 1940 to 1944, tales of the Black Major spread through the Apennine villages. Abdissa's unit was a miniature United Nations, Americans, British, French, and Ethiopians fighting together. Abdissa's knowledge of mountain warfare from the Ethiopian highlands proved lethal. Supply lines to the North African front fell, fascist morale crumbled, and entire towns whispered his name in awe and fear. When impostors began committing crimes in his name, Abdissa did what he had always done. He hunted injustice. The bandits were captured, stolen goods returned, and the villagers' trust restored. He was not just a soldier, he was a protector, a force of justice in a foreign land. June 4th, 1944, Rome was liberated. At the head of the procession, Major Abdissa Aga held high the green, yellow, and red of Ethiopia. The man Mussolini sought to enslave now led his capital's liberation. Recognizing his leadership, the British High Command promoted Abdissa to commander of the British military police, sending him to Nazi Germany. Through winter campaigns, Abdissa fought relentlessly. Villages were freed, towns rebuilt from rubble, and morale restored. By 1945, he entered Berlin as one of the first liberators. In the heart of the Third Reich, an Ethiopian soldier stood victorious. He had proven that courage transcends race, that the spirit of the Black Lion could roar anywhere. Returning home, Abdissa expected honor. Instead, politics overshadowed heroism. Officials, fearful of his fame, demoted him to trainee at the Holeta Military Academy. British officers who had served under him were outraged, yet Abdissa endured silently, humility intact. Redemption came unexpectedly. In the 1950s, Yugoslavian leader Field Marshal Tito visited Ethiopia. At a state dinner with Emperor Haile Selassie, he asked, "Where is my brother, Major Abdissa Aga? He is a hero of my people." The emperor immediately recognized his valor. Abdissa was promoted to colonel, appointed to lead the imperial bodyguard, and finally given the recognition he had earned. Colonel Abdissa Aga passed in the late 1970s, leaving a legacy spanning continents. From the hills of Welega to the streets of Berlin, he was a boy who became the Lion of Rome. He taught the world that freedom is universal and courage knows no borders. Today, we remember him not just as a soldier, but as a man who refused to be defined by chains.